For some reason, I wear wrist guards. I wear wrist guards as well. And I took them. I was with Stevens, and I just going down. I hit a pretty hard ball, fell back, landed on my head.
So the old guard, what were you like when you were the new guard?
The new what?
The new guard.
You mean when I was young?
Yeah.
Ew, let's see. What was I like when I was young? Well, I grew up in Southern Oregon, so I kind of was, I guess I was a hunter, fisherman type of kid, and I'm not quite sure what I was like, Jim, when I was...
How did you get to Empty Bowl Press?
Well, in the 70s, I ended up on the peninsula. I was actually, I was hitchhiking to the coast of Oregon. I decided I was going to live there. And I got across, I had ridden the freight trains across Canada, and I was coming down the peninsula, and Jesse Miller, an old tree planting friend of mine, picked me up and said, "Hey buddy, you want a job?" I said, "Sure." So I started planting trees, and that's where I met Tim and Michael, and actually Chuck too. All these guys who are hanging out with us today, I got hooked up with all the tree planters and the woods working co-ops, and I ended up just staying on the peninsula instead of moving on to the coast of Oregon.
So is that where Here Among the Sacrificed came
Well,
from?
not that. Yeah, I mean, Here Among the Sacrifice came from. I've been riding the freight trains since '69 or so, and Here Among the Sacrifice was sort of a culmination of just all the years that I'd been riding.
Do you know that that one chant poem? Boom chakalaka laka. I don't quite have it. The one poem where you can hear the rhythm of the tracks.
Oh, in my book?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Hobo Jungle Jingle.
Hobo Jungle Jingle.
Let me think now. Gee, I wish I had my book with me. Hey, there's a jungle by the tracks, a hobo jungle by the tracks. Sleep all night with clickety-clack, clickety-clack. Two old beaux using cardboard as a mat. Dream all night to clickety-clack, clickety-clack. And when I die, I hope I go fast, riding sweet eternity. Clickety-clack.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much.
God, I remembered it.
Yeah. I used to do that in the classroom.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. What a compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I remembered that because it's the only reason I remember it's so short.
Well, it's a beautiful poem.
Oh, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. So daily life now.
As a poet or as just a person?
Poet. Person. Whatever comes out.
Well, my daily life is just what we were talking about. I'm still a working man. I don't, like I told you, I started early on working in the woods, and I've basically continued that until I got too old for the woods, and now I do, I've got like a tiny little landscaping business that I run, and then in the wintertime, like we were saying, I prune trees and cut blackberries back. I do just about anything. It's sort of grunt work, still grunt work.
And you try and write a little bit each day, you said?
Yeah, I try. If not each day, a couple times a week. You got to keep the chops greased up or it goes away, as you know, sure.
Compassion for workers?
Oh, God, absolutely. It's like saying, I've got compassion for myself.
Okay, well, it's going to be fun to hear you read this afternoon.
Well, you know what? It's going to be fun to read to you, Jim.
Thanks.
I can't think of a better audience than you.
Thanks lots. Okay. So, Holly, tell us a little bit about this Beyond Forgetting book, if you would.
Sure, Jim, I'd love to. My mother had Alzheimer's disease, and she passed away in 2001. And of course, as a poet, I wrote poems about that as a way of, getting through a difficult time. And when I would give poetry readings and I would read the poems about her, people would come up afterwards and say, "Can I have a copy of that? I need that for so and so." And I looked around and I realized there weren't any collections of poems like this. And so I thought, well, maybe this is something I could do. And so I put out a call for submissions, and within, I think, 3 months' time, I had over 500 submissions. And so then at that point, I knew I would do the book. And I had so much beautiful work. I really felt it was a privilege and an obligation to complete it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where has the book taken you in the...
Well, it's taken me some interesting directions. I'm very grateful to the publisher, Kent State University Press.
They've got a series on aging, literature and aging.
Medicine, yeah. And so that was the perfect fit for this book. And they've been really wonderful. They're keeping it in print, which we all know is a major thing these days. It's gone into a third printing.
Wow.
And I did a sort of a reading tour when it first came out in 2009. I guess I went to 16 cities. And what was interesting about that was that I was able to get funding from a pharmaceutical company to fund the reading, which hadn't occurred to me, but one of the physicians who has a poem in here, Dr. Arthur Ginsberg, suggested it and gave me the contact information, and I wrote a grant, and then I had $5,000.
Wow.
So it meant that I could meet a lot of the contributors. I went back to Boston, down to San Francisco, to Minneapolis, and since there's 100 contributors in this book and they're all over the country, it was really a pleasure to be able to meet them.
Wow, what a experience.
Yeah. And now the direction it's taking me is I've actually started doing some writing workshops for caregivers, encouraging them to write, and possibly we'll be working with people with Alzheimer's at some point.
Have you come across a Portland therapist by the name of Arnie and Amy Mendel?
Oh, I don't know that I've met them, but I've heard the name.
The Dream Body.
Yeah. Oh,
Coma States.
Okay. Oh, okay. I will look for them. Yeah.
Okay.
Good, thank you. Yeah, and the other thing that's really heartening, I think, is that since my mother passed away, I think that the awareness of Alzheimer's disease and the way that people are working with it is much better.
It's totally new, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love to see is that there's so much more emphasis on creativity, and how we can be with people who are going down that path. They may not have language, but my mother, for example, still loved to dance. She still loved to sing.
Yeah.
They're doing things with painting, even reciting poetry that they may have learned when they were very young. There's a wonderful project called the Alzheimer's Poetry Project. And I just think that's really important to know that the arts can and should have a role in this. Otherwise, the room becomes pretty small that they're living in.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So
well, thanks lots.
Yeah.
What else? What are you going to read today?
I'm going to read some poems from my Boxing the Compass chapbook, and I now have a full-length manuscript, so I'm going to read some of the newer work from that. And then a few poems that I just wrote in the last. I like to always read a couple new poems, so a few that I just wrote this past fall.
Okay, thanks lots.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Yeah. I swore I'd never live in a geodesic dome. Never would. But now I do.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, those hippies.
Is it a new one or an old one?
It's about, it was built in 1980.
So it's an original. Then we got to the top and then we found we were in the right place.
And Robert's son used to live here. I think he lived in an apartment in that building, I'm pretty sure, for a short time.
Which building?
I'm pretty sure it was this one. No, it was an apartment building, so I may have it wrong. It might have been, I think that one looks a little too fancy. But Kathy and I lived on the other side of town. We're walking up here, and he's sitting out here listening to a baseball game on his transistor, little transistor. And so we talked to him for a while, and Kathy said, you know, I always loved that poem. Title I can't remember right now. Would you make us a copy? Would you, calligraph a copy? And sure enough, he did. Now, so this was in the summer during baseball season, and when we got married in October, he shows up and gives it to us as a gift. Of course, we paid him. When you're the new guard, you don't know that you're the new guard. And when you're the old guard, you don't actually have any idea what the hell that means. But I kind of like what I emailed you, and then I thought a little bit better about it. That when you're just starting out, you have to write something you believe is a poem, and you have to back it up with your ego. And when you're older, you may have more doubts, but you still have to back it up with your ego.
That's great.
Because you should know what a poem is. I don't know if anybody writes poetry. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, a lot of that is because it was all pretty evident what a poem was, the tradition. And just like in music, for instance, everybody knows what music is, of course, because it follows these traditional forms. But in our formless method of writing poetry today, where you're continuously trying to be creative with images and with the language, you're having to reinvent what poetry is every time you write one.
Good to see you at Jody's memorial.
That was nice. That was a lovely, lovely event for a really special person.
Do you have a memory or two of
I remember
those days?
I remember the first time I met Jody. We read together. It was a benefit, I think, for Living Without Trident, way back when the Trident missile sub base was first being conceived to go in on Hood Canal. And that dates us somewhere back in the 70s now. And Jody read a beautiful suite of poems, including one called, I'm forgetting the title of it now, but it was just an incredible poem of as all of Jody's poems, resistance, being true to yourself, spiritual honesty, and really conscious living. And it just blew me away. I said, I've got to meet this person. I really have to get to know her, and we did, and enjoyed a distant friendship because we lived in different parts, of the Northwest. But that was it was lovely and just a great loss to the whole world of poetry, to the world of just moral honesty. Jody's no longer with us.
Moral honesty and poetry.
Yeah.
And this afternoon, what's
Well, these are
what's
some
the
other old friends. Michael Daley and I went to college together in Boston. You probably know that. And Finn and I worked together tree planting and thinning up in the mountains and the woods from the 70s and the 80s, and all have been poetic companions for many years. Reading each other's poems, giving each other good advice, being the tough guy when we need to have a tough guy reader. And Holly is another poet who, like Jody, I have great admiration for.
As If It Will Matter? That was.
And the poem, I could not remember the title for, but As If It Will Matter.
Yeah.
By Jody.
Okay.